Evening. I have a very special guest tonight. A new friend, somebody. It's strange. I got a call today from a friend of mine, an elderly woman who lives in Michigan, who is a medium. And she told me that somebody has recently come into my life, a man with crystalline blue eyes, and that he is part of my tribe, that he is part of my galactic family, that he is part of that we've had basically a reunion. And I knew immediately that it was Thom. Um, and so, without further ado, I want to introduce this wonderful, extraordinary man to my beautiful audience
Mhm.
because you deserve to know him and love him the way that I do. And very shortly, you will understand why we are so connected. Welcome to A World Awakening, Thom.
Hi, hi, hi. Such an honor to be here. I'm so thankful for you. You've been such a presence in my life, and it's so surreal to be on the show and also just have you in my life all of a sudden. It's like, it's mind blowing.
One of my favorite things that happens is that my friends become friends with each other. And my friends choose who they know I need to befriend. They do, and that's what happened with us.
Yep.
And, I was just like, when I hear, "You need to talk to this man." He totally gets it. I knew she was talking about all things metaphysical and, deeply spiritual and your mediumship and all of that, which is, a part of you, but also all of you simultaneously. Your macrocosm and your microcosm all wrapped up in one thing.
Hmm.
Energy is everything is energy, and you ride a certain frequency that I likewise ride, and so it was time for us to meet.
Yep.
Um, and then when you started sharing with me really the intricacies of who you are, what is integral to you, Thom Owen,
Hmm.
um all I could think of is, oh my god, she was so right. Oh my god, look at this man and the eyes, and we're from the same place, and I just knew it immediately. And so, if you wouldn't mind, rather than me doing it, why don't you tell our audience about your history and what brought you here to this point where your gift is able to help so many other people, and what brought you to this? What was your point of enlightenment and understanding about who you were, where you came from, why you are here, and what you're supposed to do?
All right. Well, I came into my abilities or gifts or however you want to look at it. In 2018, I got sober and I was a pretty bad alcoholic for 3 or 4 years before that, and I always kind of drank. So it was always something. Now I feel like now I kind of see it as now I know I was deadening
Yeah.
my gifts and abilities and awareness because I just didn't think I could handle it. But I wasn't aware of that at the time. But in 2018, kind of hit rock bottom. I was planning on checking out, really honestly, and my dog stopped me, which was a beautiful experience, and I'll always love him for that. And then once I started, got sober and I was, kind of plateaued and I was stable and all of that. Um, I just started feeling like sobriety was more than I had anticipated because I was
Yeah.
like picking up on energies and like hearing people's thoughts. And I didn't really know what to do about that. And so I thought, oh, maybe I'll get a reading from like a psychic medium because maybe they could, I don't even want the reading. I just want to know what's going on with me. And at that time, I had looked up Sarah Lemos. Are you familiar with her at all?
Yes.
And and so I was going to seek a reading out with her. And then all of a sudden I saw that she offered a year-long course in, kind of psychic abilities. It's called Pathways to Spirit. And it's a wonderful course, a buffet of learning chakras and crystals and astral travel and just so many great things. And Sarah's just a wonderful human being and honestly changed my life. And so I did that, and I got sick during the middle of that course, and had to have I had to have surgery. And she was like, I'm starting a mediumship class and I feel like you should be part of it. And I was like, well, I just had surgery. I can't really afford all of that. She's like, my guides are telling me that you're a medium and that you need to do this. And I was like, okay. And she's like, so I'm just going to gift you the class. And I was like, okay. And after that, I started taking the mediumship class, and I immediately started getting information. And I was beside myself because I didn't know I had this ability. So, yeah, and it just kind of grew from there. And then I studied under Lisa Williams. I'm been a certified spiritual advisor, and I just kind of put myself out professionally. I've been doing this for 4 years now, and you kind of just have to put yourself out there and experience all the different segues and different alleyways of what mediumship looks like, and with different people and different vibrations. And so I feel like that's the best school.
It is.
So after that, I've kind of just been studying on my own, and now meditating with Rupert. That has really changed the way that it changed the meditation game. It's dumped it on its head, because it was just he's just fantastic with meditation in general, but connecting with the beings, and doing that meditation that went back to when you were 13 years old, that really changed the way I saw meditation, and just it kind of was the inevitable next step for me, I believe. So you were definitely part of that as well. And so I don't know, you've just been everywhere for me, and it's such a joy to speak to you.
Oh, you're so wonderful and so kind. I know. I feel like we're really, maybe approaching it from different ways, but we have the same message. And it's a very simple message, and it's about love and kindness and respect, and being pure of heart and generous of spirit, and all the stuff that's considered the fluff of this new age, for lack of a better term.
Right.
The thing I find most fascinating about it is that these concepts are as old age as it gets.
Yeah, it's not new.
It's not new. Nothing that you're saying or I'm saying or many, many others are saying that are considered to be spiritual teachers or, enlightened in some way, that we're able to impart information to others. A certain inborn wisdom, or whatever you call it. I just can't imagine living any other way. And for me, this all came to the surface as a very young child. Before we ever moved to the old haunted farmhouse, I knew there was something very, very different about me. And I tried really hard to hide that, because I didn't want to be shunned or ridiculed or belittled, or, I got thrown out of Catholic Church for asking too many questions. Get out. But we don't need your kind here. You're supposed to just accept it as we tell you, memorize this shit and go, and yeah. So in that respect, perhaps a bit of a rabble rouser, but nonetheless, to me, what you do and being able to connect and know that you're hearing something that's real. My dear friend Chip Coffey, he gets, I'll get a call in the middle of the night from him every now and then, your sister's giving me a message. I'm supposed to give it to you right away, and it's like, it's 11 o'clock at night, Chip. Okay. All right. So yeah, it's just, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I got a call today from, I got a call a few weeks ago from a friend of mine, Kristen, that's up in a medium up in the UP, who called me out of the blue just to tell me that the one question that I had, the answer is yes. The question that I had was, when my mother passed away, did she and April reunite?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know that they were together for sure. And the phone rings and it's Kristen telling me, your mom said yes. Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure she met her there.
It's really amazing that you can do what I don't even know about mediumship. I mean, to me, I think if there's one medium in the world, then everyone has the innate ability. Whether or not they nurture it and bring it to the surface is entirely upon them. But I think that if there's one psychic, then everybody has the ability
Absolutely
to be psychic. But like in much the way that you did, I have often found that people who start to display this ability, usually coming into middle age, is when it tends to surface, have spent a good long period of time of their lives trying to suppress what they didn't understand.
That, and the public conditioning of what what they kind of teach us to desensitize ourselves and not listen to certain things that we are listening to as psychic mediums. So it's just about, I guess, unconditioning your brain to go back to the state that you were supposed to be in. So
when you embraced your gifts,
mm-hmm.
did they increase exponentially because of that, because of your acceptance of it?
Yeah, it was kind of like flying a new spaceship, honestly, because it's just like, I don't know, I didn't know I could do psychometry. I didn't know I could do remote viewing, all of these things. When you set your mind to it and you're able to test these divinations out, yeah, it's an interesting thing what you finally realize what you can do and like how powerful you are, and like stepping into your power is not something I was really anticipating, knowing my purpose or stepping into my power. And mediumship has really helped me grow as a person. And, finally having a purpose, at least, I feel like that's my purpose in life. And, to discover that and know it and to live it is, I'm thankful as a human being to have experienced this, and to,
it is liberating too. It is liberating to understand what your role is,
mm-hmm.
and in the grand master plan, and feel really comfortable in your own skin for the first time. I tell people all the time, I am certain I was born on the island of misfit toys. I am absolutely certain of it. And that, that's where my clan is, all the weirdos and the misfits and the vagabonds that roam this world with a billion different ideas going on in their head at the same time, and all of these visions, and the seekers and the seers and the oracles of the world, and the metaphysical journey that we're all on. I think that once you accept that what's happening to you, with not only your intuitive ability to read the room, as it were,
Mm-hmm.
but to be able to communicate that, to have the courage to not only accept it, but then to put yourself out there so that you can open up that line of communication, almost in the shape of a triangle between whoever is up there that's trying to communicate down here, and you become the conduit. And it is empowering and it is beautiful. It's also humbling as hell.
Absolutely. I every time I do a reading, I mean, I feel like I'm a little healed more,
Yeah.
just facilitating that and being so close to spirit and hearing the healing and feeling the healing that's transpiring between the spirit and their loved one. It's magical, it's like reminds us of like who we are and what we're really doing, you know what I mean, and what's really important. And you know I don't ever get sick of finding that reminder just absolutely beautiful.
Okay, now we're going to take a quantum leap in consciousness,
Okay.
whether you're ready or not.
Okay.
When we first got in contact, you one day sent me a message. You had a question about extraterrestrials, about our galactic family.
Mm-hmm.
You felt like there was some connection, but you didn't know exactly what it was. You were a little nervous about exploring that. You were, and then we talked about it at length, as I recall. And then within a day or two, I started receiving photographs of, I don't know, I guess snapshots from your iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And you asked me, basically, is that what I think that is? And I said, well, you've made their introduction. They know who you are. They're going to make their presence known to you now because you've been in contact with me and I'm your conduit.
Mm-hmm.
And you were blown away by that.
I was still.
Have you? Are you really? I
Yeah.
was going to ask, have you kind of started to come to terms with it? Have you, are you seeing more? Are you looking up? Are you engaging in a very meaningful way?
Definitely looking up more. I think you just kind of have to retrain yourself to look up because there's so much happening, but we're just so focused on our ground level that we miss so much. Yeah, I feel them. I feel them around. I almost feel like the energies around. Like I feel my guides and I feel, loved ones around me, that kind of thing. But I also now feel them, which is interesting because I almost feel like they're right here with me versus like, you know what I mean? I feel like they're like around my house, around me, you know what I mean? And so adjusting to those energies is exciting and also, I think in tandem with the world being the way that it is, I feel so much more comforted now with
Yeah.
feeling that presence. It just feels safer for some reason. It feels, I don't know, I just feel a lot of love.
Well, and in a way, you are being protected. And it's important for you to know
Okay.
that you are being protected, that your acknowledgement of them, and your connection with me, as spontaneous and yet profound as it was, as it will be
Mm-hmm.
throughout time as we spend time together. I will see you this year in Michigan, in
So
person. So excited about that. I'm so thrilled because then I get to broaden your horizons even more and expand your circle even more as I introduce you to everyone that's at this singular event. Um, I want you to know that you are supported. You are being supported in your desire to do as much good in the world as you can possibly do. And I was given a message before we did the show tonight. And I don't know how this pertains to you specifically,
okay.
but the message that I was given by them when I was outside real quick
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
was tell Tom to forgive himself.
That resonates deeply. I mean, it's what I'm working on in therapy right now. So, that's definitely hits the head on the nail there.
Well, it's the nail on the head.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. I said that and I was like, wait, that was wrong.
I know. I love it when I'm verbally dyslexic too. It makes me laugh at myself.
Right. We
Um,
say things so often we get them, all messed up.
well, it's the thing about I think that the road to redemption and enlightenment is paved with the golden stones of forgiveness, not just forgiveness for others, which we really don't do it for them. We do it to release the burden that we carry when we hold a grudge against someone else. Knowing deep inside that most likely they were doing the best that they could, and we all fuck up at one point or another. We all do.
Yeah.
We make mistakes. We are human, or at least partially. In my case, for sure.
we know.
Human enough to screw things up, okay? But the thing about forgiveness is the release. And it's like I tell folks all the time, you have got to lay that baggage down on the side of the road. I don't care if it's Louis Vuitton. Lay it down, leave it there. Someone will come along and pick it up and put it to good use. Just leave it, leave your pain and your sorrow and your guilt and your shame and all of the things, emotions that burden us because of the mistakes that we've made and the regrets that we have, and put them in a nice piece of luggage and just lay it down on the road and keep walking. And you will discover immediately what Jeff and I were talking about in Soul School tonight, the incredible lightness of being Tom, the incredible lightness of being Annie. Let it go. Let it be. And it is that easy and that difficult to just change your mind. Yeah. Just decide to change your mind and say, you know what? Time to move on. I've made amends everywhere that I know how to, in every way I know how to. And, either the universe accepts the apology or not. But with the best of intentions, I now move forward, having learned my lessons well. And it really is, it's freedom. It's freedom and it's light. And in order for you to do what you do to the highest level, you have to shed that weight. So that, as I had to forgive myself. I did, because I've made some mistakes in this life that I would do anything to go back and redo it and not say a certain thing or not do a certain thing. But then the more you reflect on that in meditation or prayer or whatever, you understand. You get to a point of revelation where you understand that every single thing that happened to you in your life is what formed you into what you are right now in this moment. Yeah. Here and now. And that if it happened any other way, you would not be who or where you are right now. It doesn't mean, I'm about destiny and fate. I believe in free will. I believe that we have the right to choose to make mistakes, sometimes deliberately, because we think it's in our own best interest. And we know it's not a good idea at the time, but we do it anyway because we think that ultimately the outcome will behoove us to, feel gratified that a desire was met or whatever. All of that. And what I will say to you is for you to enhance and maximize your gifts, you have to release whatever burdens you. And you can just simply decide to do that.
Interesting. I like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely working on that. I've been in therapy for like 2 years, and just going through the past and like with a fine tooth comb and trying to really look at spaces within my soul of where I may have swept things under the rug, or any of that. So and I do this because I want to be the best that I can be for others. So yeah.
Well, and you're a complicated person.
Yeah.
You're a complicated person that comes with, it would just have been, ultimately it would have just been so much easier for you to deny and shun your gifts rather than to embrace them. Um, do you feel that your clients, those that reach out to you for readings and that type of thing, do you feel when you are with them, and I'm just doing this for a little bit of comparative analysis because I know a lot of people that
Yeah.
are psychics or, are connected in some way, very either intuitive or empaths or, whatever. And our vernacular has expanded so much over the years. But do you feel a connection while you're doing the reading that touches you viscerally? I mean, do you feel, is there any kind of a distance between you? And I'm not talking physical distance. I mean, I'm sure you have to do some readings, not in person, but over computers and stuff.
Hmm.
But do you feel them and their reaction to what you're telling them? I mean, how engaged are you in the process, or are you just passing on a message?
Uh, yes, I am passing on the message, but oftentimes I can feel the emotion behind the message, which then kind of draws me in on a personal level. Not that I let that get within the reading, but you know,
But you
sometimes
feel it.
the messages that they're getting are just so beautiful that I can't help but get emotional, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm crying, you know, this is not, it's just, and they understand because they're so moved as well. But I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but, you know, um, I also find that sometimes when I'm doing readings and the message that's coming through for the person is also a message for me.
Yeah.
So
That was my next question.
there you go. So, there's a lot for me to ponder and like sit with, even after reading, because I always feel like there is something in there that I can take and put in my back pocket, and even if it's not for myself, it could be for one of my clients, so I always am trying to investigate what's offered
Hmm.
for it, for sure. So
Do you sometimes get messages from your own loved ones, members of your family, perhaps, or ancestors that have passed?
yeah,
Messages of support and encouragement?
absolutely. I always loved my grandfather, and I was always around him, but I was young and he was old, and we weren't like connected on a human to human level so much as like a grandfather to a grandson. And so um once I kind of established my mediumship, he kind of came in pretty early on, and he told me, I'm sorry for not understanding you and your life, and what you've been through. And and now he had that understanding, and he just really wanted to make sure that I knew. And that was, incredibly special. I think, you know, the whole reason this started was my grief from my mother's passing. And so this is my grief in action, in a sense. And so she always, comes by, and, and it's always really special. I mean, it's only probably about like once every 6 months or so, but she comes by and I can just feel it. Like it's like electricity in the air. And, you know, um, I think of course I'll always miss her, but my sadness is so different now that I have communication, and in my grief, it looks so much different after having communication. And, because of even that, I want other people to have that experience and know that they can do it. And I want them to, I may be able to facilitate messages, but I really want them to know that they can do this on their own and that they don't need me, and, leave people better than I found them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredibly comforting. That's, what I have found for people, incredibly comforting. I have, having been connected to and exposed to the existence of spirit at such a young age, it fundamentally changed my perspective on life and death and the afterlife. Um, and I do occasionally have a visitation or a message for someone else. I normally, though, don't get it through spirit. I get it through the galactic family, like the message for you. That
Mm-hmm.
came from a very specific place with a very specific reason. But every now and then, I will have a spirit reach out and reach through, and just usually not say anything. I don't really hear in my head spirit voices, uh, usually, but I do sense a very strong presence, not always easily identifiable until there is some action that occurs with it. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, there she is. That's mom. There she is. She's right there. Here she is. And it brings me joy. So
Mm-hmm.
I understand, Tom. I mean, you used that word in one of our initial conversations about how what you do now brings you joy, not just your clients, but for you as well, which is why I wanted to explore like how emotionally invested you get.
Right. Um, I get invested with them because I care about humans, and I care about my community, and I care about, helping people in their pain. And so, I try to keep obviously professional lines, but, you know, um, I can't help but feel emotional when someone can put down their grief, and and to watch them do that, and to feel that lightness, to feel that shift. I mean, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it in the world. It's so powerful. And, you can't help but feel emotion towards that as, an empath, and as a person that can feel the other person, and just all of it. It's pretty encompassing. But I definitely feel like it changes me emotionally for myself too, because it brings me back to center about my life. And it's always kind of just a reminder, like, don't get caught up in too much, because what's really important is caring for each other and loving each other. Love is the important thing, and that. So it all
Well,
just
it's a reset of your moral compass to true north.
mm-hmm.
Every time. I mean, my sister Christine today went over to do the grocery shopping, and I don't go out much. I have to be very careful not to interact with people,
Absolutely.
especially while, flu and everything is just wildfire
Bad out there.
and running rampant in Georgia. So I'm having to be rather reclusive, staying home. And she went out and she went shopping today. And I always tell her, she tells me to expect a miracle. I tell her to watch for earth angels. And today, when she went shopping, she made her rounds, she cashed out, she went and loaded everything into her car. She looked all around her to make sure she wasn't backing out. She got a big ass car and she just got to be careful she's not backing out into anybody that's coming and going. And she looked and she looked and she looked, and she put it in reverse and she started backing out. And all of a sudden, a woman just appeared on the
Mm,
side of her car, and she slammed on the brakes and panicked, thinking,
sure.
oh my God, I'm did I like almost hit her? And she opened her door and she said, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you. I didn't see you. And the woman said, but I've been here all along. And she handed her a beautiful bouquet of flowers.
Oh my goodness.
And Christine's like, these are for me? And the woman said, and she was an elderly woman. She
Wow.
was short. She had a big head of gray hair and her winter coat on. It was freezing cold. And she had nothing else in her hands.
That's
And she handed this bouquet of beautiful fresh cut flowers to my sister and told her that she is blessed and walked away. And Chris came home and she's like, Anne, you are not going to believe this. You are not going to believe what just happened to me today.
that's
And in the parking lot of Public Supermarket. And she told me, and I just looked at her and I said, they're everywhere. Those earth angels, they're everywhere. And she's like, nothing like this has ever happened to me in my life. And I said, well, maybe today was the day you deserved it most.
just trying to get her attention, to get her refocus on love and knowing that there's something bigger at play. Yeah, it's just I mean, how cool. And you warned her of that, and that's even cooler.
It's this thing called life is a cornucopia of delight. No, it's one of the reasons that I wanted to ask you about your interaction and your connection with your clients during your readings. There's a very specific reason that I want to ask you for that, because I'm sure that your intuition is just, like going off like ding, 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 ding. You're picking up on stuff and in a way kind of integrating with your client as you're passing through those messages, and sharing that energy and that association for the length of time that you're involved in the reading. But are you aware as it's happening? Are you aware? You had used a moment ago the word you can sense and feel the shift that takes place, and it is a paradigm shift. It is. When you're first, especially if you've never been consciously touched by spirit before, not that you haven't been unconsciously or subconsciously touched, but where you know that something has just happened that changes everything. Your understanding of spirit, an expansion of your notion of life and death and an afterlife expands. You can't, it's like, the expanding universe. You can't shrink it back down. You can't unthink, unlearn, unfeel, unhear, unknow what you've just experienced, especially when you are so precise that the client knows instantly who the message is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And does that, for lack of a better, does it bring you like a higher level of joy, something that I describe as higher love, like a higher level, not like mortal love, like, I love that TV show and I love my nephew and, yeah, but like a more spiritually advanced quantum leap in love. Do you feel that? And if you do, does it grow you?
I do feel that, and yes, it does grow me. It's kind of miraculous, the shift that happens when you are witnessing that. And like you said, being a paradigm shift in that moment, and expanding consciousness and expanding a person's viewpoint. You don't you get a handful of those moments as a human being in general, but to be able to do it on the regular and be side by side with those experiences, yeah, I mean, it influences my life. I feel like, of course I try to be as relatable as possible to people and connect how I can, but I just see love and connection and this overall, these souls all being together and all having these love chords together. You know what I mean? Like, if we could just stop and understand how much love there is versus how much division there is. And so having those reminders, yeah, it makes me want to propel that love in front of everybody that I meet so that they have an experience of feeling love that day, to feel
Mhm.
seen, to feel connection. And I just think it's so important, to take that love that I'm experiencing and share that. It's just it's what I'm here to do.
It is. And I think one of the other reasons that we're here is that it's your job and my job and the job of many others to be the antidote to this toxic disease that has spread around the globe, that mindset that creates a constant conflict. Uh, One mindset being we are all one family, we are all in this together. The other mindset being all for me, the rest of you are on your own.
Yeah.
And as long as human beings have found that there's power in engendering fear, as long as greed prevails, as long as the phrase where interest lies, honor dies,
Mm.
is particularly poignant to me at this point in my life. I've seen too much. I know that it is a chronic condition of humanity. And I think that part of your job and part of my job and so many others is to infuse, instill, and maybe even reinstall in our hard drive the notion of empathy. What does that word mean? Simply put, the ability to put yourself in the position of another and feel their pain. And I think that part of the reason why humanity has, not as a whole by any stretch, but partially forsaken the idea of nurturing that human emotion and shunning it is because it's painful. It is painful. Um, and it's just easier to be solitary and, in that respect, somewhat unapproachable. And it's easier not to feel compassion and grief and witness the pain of others and feel it yourself. It's just easier to shut that down, to drink it away, to smoke it away, to self medicate it away one way or another. And many of us that have, worked in this field and tried to impart what our gifts or our information or our wisdom, what we have learned, what we have experienced, and pass that on. The only reason that we're where we are is because no matter how painful, we allow ourselves to absorb it and process it and feel it for others, which is why so many of us are so prone to grief, sadness, and depression.
Mm-hmm.
Very much. And a lot of anxiety, a
Yeah.
lot of anxiety. And so it's really hard to live in the real world when you're not comfortable in 3D, where it doesn't it doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. It's confusing. It's contradictory. It's rhetorical, and it's vitriolic, and it's duality at its worst.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that what you do by providing these readings for your clients is you're opening their hearts up, not just their third eye,
Mm-hmm.
but their hearts, so that they feel the pain of that loss, but also feel the comfort of getting a message from the person whose loss devastated them. Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense, or am I just...
Absolutely. Opening the heart to remind them of the love that is there and never went away, but
Right.
human mind makes them think that that's not there anymore. And so
Yeah.
you have that recognition of love that you've known, love that is part of you. um it changes people. It gets them out of their slump. And then, and hopefully they can take that with them and let them inspire their lives to change and to see things or offer things in a different way, because there are so many low vibrational people in the world, and one higher
Oh, I
vibration
know. Oh,
can change the vibration grid, if you will. So, it's important to just do what you can at any moment in time for somebody, because you're helping the collective vibration, which I know that you're fully aware of. So
I'm incredibly fully aware of that. So you are coming to the event that we're doing at Houghton Lake
I am.
in Michigan, central Michigan, right at the heart. Houghton Lake is right. If Michigan has a heart, that's right there at Houghton Lake, and we're doing an event that will involve meditation. It's a spiritual retreat that we're doing at the end of April. If anybody that's watching and is in that area and wants to attend and get to meet you, are you going to be able to be available to do readings for anybody that
Sure, I can.
would,
Absolutely.
can do that, and
Yeah.
bring
When
that
you're the
skill
reading,
set with
have
you?
the time to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there will be eating and making merry, and I only drink Coke and sweet tea, but still, it's I don't like alcohol. I can't. My body will not even accept it.
Mm.
My body is like, don't you even, so I'm not a drinker. I got a nice big fat glass of ice water right here. Um, but yeah, we will be up late. We will be uh, doing some circles and some calling in of the galactic family. Not that I call them like they come when I call them, because they're already here.
Right.
But they will make their presence known. I will make some formal introductions. It will be so much light and love. We won't need cars to leave. We can just levitate, when the event is over, and it's the last weekend of April. Anybody that wants to know about it, please contact either the Lakeside Resort in Houghton Lake or Deb DeRoos at Mystical Awakenings. She also has a show here on KGRA, I believe, on Thursday nights. I should know that right off the top of my head. I've been her guest many times. I'm going to turn her on to you. I'm going to introduce the two of you and let her explore. She does a lot of what you do as well. There will be so many. It's got. I need this. Okay, Thom, let me just say, it's really all about me and my personal healing and how I need to be with these beautiful, spiritually enlightened souls that will lift me up and make me feel a whole lot better and put their hands on me, and so that I can suck the energy out of all of your bodies. Are you okay with that?
That's what I'm most excited about.
Excellent. Because
Yep.
with the energy can always make more.
Yes.
So just give me what I need,
I'm
and I'll
ready.
get to see you in
Yeah.
person and wrap you in my arms. And I'm so grateful that you joined me on the show tonight. I know an hour can go by very fast.
It did.
It did. It
It-
won't be, it was your first appearance. It will not be your last. And we'll get together again after the event
okay.
and do like a group thing on A World Awakening where we can share our experiences. And
Oh,
we'll
that,
have Deb on and Jamila and, you know, some of the other people that are running this, sponsoring this event. And so that's when folks will see you next on A World Awakening, probably the first weekend, the first Friday in May. So, you know, put that on your calendar
okay.
if you don't
Do it.
mind,
Oh yeah.
because I certainly do intend to be around here in May, this May and the next and the next and the next.
Yes. Yes.
So, so let's do some light and love and healing and sharing and communicating on a whole different level. Thank you, my dear sweet Thom.
Thank you. It's been my honor to just being in your presence is just amazing. So thank you, Andrea.
I hope everyone has a wonderful night, a wonderful weekend. And from my heart, I will share what I always say because I mean it. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Be the light that you seek. Be the beacon of hope. Carry the torch and know that you are loved. Thank you, Thom. Thank you, Bill. Thank you all. I wish you a pleasant good night.